All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Bullets, Barbells, and Barbecue. I'm your host, Brett. Chris is not here today. I got Matt Deuce here. I got Tanner the Head. We got our show partners, Elite Nutrition. Check them out at EliteNutritionOmaha.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off. Go to the Omaha or the Lincoln store and yell B3.
Get a free shaker.
We also have Rosewood Block. They make the best cutting boards in barbecue. Fully customizable. Check them out at rosewoodblock.com. Use code B3 at checkout there as well for 10% off. Yeah. I just made some really good pork belly off of Meat Church's website, and I did not shit myself the entire week.
That's good.
I am surprised because when you gave me that, I'm like, I just looked at you. I'm like, you're going to be shitting yourself by Friday.
I think I rationed it correctly.
It's good.
Yeah. But yeah, if you look at the recent video, the guy does it. I didn't fry mine though. I didn't deep fry it. But it's a pretty solid recipe, and you smoke it in the strips. And then I made Cosmo's Nashville hot sauce with Duke's mayo and dipped it in that. It was pretty solid.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants a good recipe to play around with, I did the same seasoning on the pork belly. I just did not fry it. And I thought it turned out pretty good.
I'm going to test out his orange soy glazed pork chops tomorrow.
I saw that. Then I saw soy, and I thought, that's how you get
I didn't
man
use
boobs.
soy sauce. I used the Japanese barbecue sauce that comes in like the little bottle with the red lid.
The one you can get at Costco. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah. I used that
stuff's
instead of
good.
like soy sauce and sesame oil. So I put in the orange juice and then I used just the same volume, but just put that stuff in there. So I'm like, this stuff's fantastic. So
If you don't want to use soy sauce, you can always use coconut aminos too.
Somebody was just telling me about that.
Yeah.
The aminos.
Coconut aminos are like a sub for soy sauce.
Does it taste like soy sauce?
Well, I mean, it's just salty. So, I mean, yeah, it tastes similar to soy sauce. It's like a healthier version if you don't want soy.
Japanese barbecue sauce.
The Japanese
All the
barbecue sauce is freaking great.
You know what weirds me out is that Japanese mayo, that weird floppy bottle it's in.
We use it sometimes for recipes.
That bottle's fucking weird.
It is weird.
Have you not seen it, Matt?
It's a little flaccid.
It's like a taller bottle, but it's like super floppy and like weird looking. And there's no labels on it.
No, so the plastic, it's not like a hard
food
plastic. It's almost like,
It literally says nothing on it.
yeah. Well, they do if you buy them at like Hy-Vee, I think it says.
Oh,
You
But
get like the bulk containers.
you can go to have you guys ever been to the
Asian
Asian
market?
store?
I've heard about it.
Oh, I freaking love that place. It's on like 74th and Dodge. It's like north of Best Buy. And you walk in there and it's like, if someone just dropped you off there and they dropped you off in there and they'd be like, what country are you? And you'd be like, I have no clue. Because it's every different race in Omaha is all in there. You go back and by the meat department, there'll be like live eels swimming in a bucket just out there in the middle of the
Scoop them out.
yeah. Or crabs crawling, like just crawling around,
like you're like genital crabs or the ones that are there?
Both.
Oh,
I think both.
yeah.
I think the genital crabs you can get for free though. I don't think it's
Well, if Tanner's there, yeah.
Yep. Just touch anything he touched.
you're a
Yeah.
fucking idiot.
Yucky.
But yeah, but actually, produce is super cheap there.
Oh.
And if you're ever looking for, like, if you ever need an Asian ingredient, you go there and it's way less. Or Asian, Indian. If you're making like curries, they have like curry starters like that are freaking awesome for like $1 a can to like start your curry. It's the place is freaking awesome, but it does smell a little funny.
It smells
Like-
natural.
Like there's seafood swimming on the floor. Smells like that.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Cool. I got it.
Yeah.
I should find.
The funny thing is, like, I know exactly what that smell is. Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah. I should find the flashback clip where you said that you would never go to Vala's.
Yeah. Well, I'm going.
And I have season passes. You and your
Apparently, I
wife
do.
both.
Yeah.
How many times do you have to go on a season pass to make it worth it?
Twice,
If
it
you go
looks
on the
like.
weekends, yeah, it's like 2 or 3 times maybe. Because they have a flash sale.
They were on sale,
Yeah, they do a flash sale, and it's like, what, like
and I'm cheap, so that
70,
worked out well.
75 or like $78 or something like that. It's like 30. I think normally 100, something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the weekend admission is fairly.
Probably not going on the weekends.
Thought it was
But, you know,
like
somebody was talking
35
about
bucks.
how it's expensive the other day, and I said, if you look at Vala's, which is known like nationwide, it's like one of the top 3
tourist traps.
Pumpkin
like
patches.
pumpkin patches.
Is that a thing?
Obviously, they make millions of fucking dollars.
They
so.
do.
But like I said, so if you look at it that way, it's like the Universal of fucking pumpkin patches, and people pay a shitload of money to go to Universal Studios.
Yeah.
So it's not really any different at all. And once you're in there, the stuff isn't like crazy expensive because like the food's pretty reasonably priced, and the ciders are, fairly reasonable also.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're looking at it that way, I'm like,
Well,
but also like I just told Tanner, if you don't have kids, it's way cheaper.
yeah.
Everything in life is way cheaper without kids.
We'll have to take the kids once, and then they'll never go back.
That's going to cost you a fortune.
I know.
You should have made one of your fucking 47 kids work there because they get like 7 season passes. Or something like that.
There you go.
That's where you messed up.
That would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
That'll just have me one of the day laborers.
Yeah.
I know. I think Amber was talking to Nicole and she was like, their food's so good. You should try to figure out the recipes and steal them.
She did say that.
So yeah, Tanner's going all that shit he talked. Fucking.
Yeah.
wah.
I'm adaptable.
I tell people, I said, Val, this is a good time, man. I said, you can just fucking sit and drink and watch kids run and just randomly fall down. It's like kids getting hurt, that Instagram page, but like in person.
So Molly, my 16-year-old, if she sends me a clip on like Instagram, it is of a kid hurting themselves.
Yeah,
Like,
kids getting hurt is the only temptation to go back to Instagram.
Yeah.
Just
So if
for
you just
that
go to
page.
Val's and hang out, a kid will be running because they have like that loose kind of like ground asphalt, whatever, and some kid will just fucking eat shit right next to you.
Oh, you know what I did find out though? That apparently that whenever I post something political on Instagram, Molly adds it to her story. Like your teachers are gonna fucking love you this year.
Are you shadow banned?
I'm pretty blocked on Facebook. Like I'm throttled way down. Yeah.
I always wonder what if you are or aren't. You know what I mean? That's the
So
hard
you
part.
really don't know, but apparently if you post certain shit, you get flagged. And I post certain shit, and then they basically assign you a like liberal nerd to like watch your account, and then to like throttle your stuff down.
But you can have someone who does a whole bunch of things and then they decide to run for president and they'll completely wipe that off the internet.
Yeah,
Yeah, that works out.
yeah, like like Kamala wasn't a border czar, even though I will continue to post all the videos where they named her border czar over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Because simple fact is, you don't hate the media enough. Like you don't, like they are terrible. Like to even call them media is insulting to the word media. It is a scam. They promote.
Like I said, it should have to be like an FCC regulation that they should have to say, like the screen should have to in the corner say opinions only. Like
Yeah.
this is not real news.
This isn't Walter Cronkite reading the news to us and allowing us to form our own opinions. Right? Like when people get worked up about something, I ask them, "Did you hear it?"
Oh, I say
Or-
I don't believe anything unless I've actually seen it personally.
Or did you hear commentary on it? Because most of the time they only heard commentary on it. The Harrison Butker speech, almost no one I know that was pissed off about it actually listened to it. All they listened to was commentary on it. Trump, when even Biden floated out the good people on both sides bullshit, he says white supremacists and like Ku Klux Klan members and stuff are terrible people. But what they play is when he says there are good people on both sides of this argument because they were tearing down statues of the South. There were some people saying these statues are racist people, they should go away, and other people saying this is our history, it needs to stay. That was the argument he was talking about. He wasn't talking about white supremacists, but they played this lie, and Snopes finally, after 4 or 5 fucking years, says that this is debunked. And then Biden says it in the debate. You said good people on both sides. Like, you guys lie so much. And you just, Russia. Who did Russia? Hillary actually colluded with Russia. Like, there was no Russian collusion on Trump's part. But they just say the same thing over again, which is just annoying.
Well, we talk about like when they say Trump's a racist all the time, but you can't show any proof. But there's plenty of videos of Biden talking about his kids growing up in a racial jungle and super predators. And Kamala called him a sexual predator during the fucking debates in 2020.
And he just told Charlemagne before the 2020 election that if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. Who the fuck are you, Biden?
Well, yeah, and he hasn't done anything to help the black community.
No Democrat has. The Democrat, every single legislation that's ever passed in this country for equal rights, getting rid of Jim Crow, getting rid of slavery, has always been done by Republicans. Period. End of story. Everything has been done by Republicans.
Well, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican.
Yep.
The Democrats also, as many people want to deny, started the Ghost of the Confederacy, which was now the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes.
That was started by Democrats who wanted to kill Lincoln because of the end of slavery. Then they'll say there was the great switch of the parties. That's not a real thing.
It's not a real thing.
So
They blame it on Nixon because Nixon's easy to blame stuff on. They said it was his thing. But if you go back to Lyndon Johnson, Democrat, was a giant racist.
Oh, he's on recording saying, as long as we keep giving these N-words money, we'll keep them under our thumb forever.
Yes.
On recording saying that.
Yes. Like, that's the problem is that, and there's over the last few years, but really in the last year, like when Trump went to Detroit, Trump went to an inner city church.
Yeah, I saw that preacher.
And that pastor was at the RNC. But that pastor said Obama wouldn't come here, Hillary wouldn't come here, Biden wouldn't come here. They won't come here. Trump does. Trump has always been a friend of the black community. He always has been. When we were growing up, he was in fucking rap videos. He was an icon. I mean, he was like a celebrity icon. And he was all over the place. It's this narrative that Trump is racist just came out when he walked down the escalator and said he wanted to be president. And the reason why, they can't control him. Obviously, he's not part of, I mean, whatever system you think is out there, he can't be part of if the system's trying to tear him down. Like, they tried to put him in jail over bullshit charges. That freaking, the fraud charge where he got fined $500 million.
And all the banks were on his side.
Do you know what that case was about, Matt?
Wasn't it? He was just like
They said he was
overstating,
overestimating values, which everyone does.
But of Mar-a-Lago. That Mar-a-Lago was only worth $19 million.
Which I think it's worth like 120 million or something like that, isn't it?
Well, so when he had this fine, so he had to pay a fine to even be able to appeal. Okay?
And they cut the fine
They cut it to $174 million, but it was like going to be $500 million. Do you know what they said on CNN?
Nope.
Well, he could just sell Mar-a-Lago for $200 million and pay the fine. Are you fucking kidding me? You said the quiet part out loud. You just said it was only worth 19 million, and that's what. Like, he took a loan out, he paid it off on time. The banks loved him, and they used some weird ass law that they basically manipulated to say that he overvalued Mar-a-Lago while getting the loan.
Well, and if you ask any honest realtor or property owner like that, you overestimate everything. It's the bank's due diligence to figure out what it's really worth. But it's like we've talked about, I don't know if me and Matt have talked about, where when you get your house appraised, amazing one of my clients, and you're like, I need to, I'm looking to sell it for this amount. It weirdly usually gets appraised for what you're trying to get a loan for.
But,
you know what I mean? 9 times out of 10.
But if you go and refinance because you want to take extra money out, that appraisal is always lower.
Yeah.
Like appraisals just come to the bank. Like, it has nothing to do with the actual value of the property. It has to do with what the bank's comfortability is in lending you money.
Yeah. And again, we've talked before. I'm not saying Trump has never done anything scummy. And if you believe any billionaire is not a little bit scummy, a lot of people look at Warren Buffett. Dude, you don't get to be a billionaire without stepping on some people along the way. That's all part of business. But to say that someone, and I was even talking to someone that comes to the gym here, and he is on the complete opposite side that I am. And he agreed to, you can't call someone a threat all the time or compare them to like someone like Hitler and think that's not going to get people fired up to do something stupid. If you want to like debate and say someone's stupid or they're lazy, like whatever. I'm not saying right or wrong there. Do whatever you're going to do, but you can't constantly use that word that someone's a threat, because that makes people, and I don't like to use the word trigger, but it triggers people to be like, oh, he's a threat. I'm doing my country a favor right now.
Well, what absolutely cracks me up is that it seems like, and when I say Democrats, I'm not saying everyone who identifies as a Democrat. Okay, like there are people that I know that are Democrats or that identify as a Democrat or whatever that are fine. I'm talking about leadership. Like, their leadership, in my opinion, is evil. Like, the people at the top are taking us down a path, and they're following, like, the people, like, they have people following a bad direction. But they keep saying, Trump is a threat to democracy. What just happened? They kept freaking Biden propped up long enough, like Weekend at Bernie's, to get him through a primary election.
Well,
where
there wasn't even really a primary. They never really had a primary to bring anybody else
where they
in.
blocked RFK. They blocked RFK from even participating in a primary. And then all these Democrats voted for him. And then they move him out and anoint someone who has never won one vote, one delegate, to be president. Your vote did not matter.
Oh, yeah, as a Democrat, you should be disappointed because your vote didn't matter at all. They basically circumvented
All
you
of
completely.
it. So if you like, it's like whatever.
Because they could still go to the DNC and then totally throw her under the bus and be like, "Hey, we're running Michelle Obama, Barack." They could run whoever they wanted to because, well, not Barack obviously, but they could run whoever they wanted to, and they basically completely circumvented the democratic process.
Well, in delegates, I mean, here's the thing: delegates have the right to choose, right? But they just anointed somebody. There was
Well, and that's fucked up too because they should have the right to choose. They should have to vote how their state did. Like their state voted
but if
for.
something, I guess, okay, when
Because that's the problem with most people in Washington.
I think Lyndon Johnson, I believe it was Lyndon Johnson, decided not to run for re-election.
Yep, he did. But he actually announced it in a fucking press conference.
Yeah, at the DNC,
not
right?
on Twitter.
While they were in Chicago.
Yeah, he did it.
They're going to be in Chicago again. Is that a coincidence?
But he also did it as like any respectable president would do, and like not just put out a memo
on Twitter.
Yeah.
So, like the delegates do have a responsibility, right? And that is there for a weird situation. But this whole thing looks like it's been propped up. So you keep saying, like, to me, it's like whatever they are yelling, the other side is doing, they're doing themselves, right? Russia, Russia, Russia. They were working with Russia. You know, like racist, racist, racist. They're the ones that are actually racist. You're a threat to democracy. They're the ones circumventing democracy. Whatever that they're yelling, just look at them and they're probably doing.
Well, and I'll say I don't think they're racist. Like they dislike black people, but they like to make sure black people stay poor so they can give them money to make them vote for them.
Well,
They don't encourage black people to do better.
to me, that a lot of people on that side are racist by low expectations. Like they
don't know how to use a computer or can't get an ID.
right, or they're like a minority can only be successful with their white liberal help. Right,
Yes.
that's the only way it can happen.
Well, that's like Lyndon Johnson said.
Yeah, with their white liberal help is the only way that a black person or Mexican, anyone can be successful. And to me, everybody has the chance to be successful because they're human. And I believe everyone has that possibility in them. You see people from all walks of life in all different situations, white, black, brown, doesn't matter, from poor to rich, be successful or be failures on their own merits. And I believe that people work on their own merits. And I'm not saying that there's perfect opportunity for everybody, but in this country, if you work hard, you can make a good life for yourself. And people come over. That's why we have 15 million illegal people moved in this country and not leaving the country. It's because it's still America, and you can still make something of yourself if you work hard enough and you have an opportunity.
Yes. It's very true.
That was a great speech.
Thanks.
I like it.
Well, and I mean, he's not wrong. It just gets old that everybody in the mainstream media will just shit all over Trump and say he's this and that, but then they'll completely defend anything that Kamala's ever done, or even Joe. But what I want to know is how on Friday Joe Biden says after COVID I'm going to be back on the campaign trail, and then he just wakes up Sunday morning just out of nowhere. He's been fighting this whole time. I'm the guy. I'm running. Just wakes up Sunday morning and puts out a tweet.
Because the puppet people, the puppet masters.
How do you think that went? Do you think Kamala said she was going to give him the 25th Amendment, or do you think that they said, man, with COVID, you might not wake up in the morning. You just never know what's going to happen.
I think Pelosi and Schumer and Obama and the Clintons and Kamala, and they all just pretty much told them that this has the way it has to be. You're going to lose all of our support. And understand, for Biden is a stubborn human being. He has been his entire life. He's a liar.
Well,
he has
now,
been,
now he's a hero.
no, he's a liar. He has been his entire life. I can show you clips from 40 years ago with him mocking a reporter who asked him about his collegiate record, and then he had to apologize, even though it was all done pretty silently because he is a freaking liar. But he's been stubborn and he's an overly proud person. I don't think he wanted that. I think he was worried about how he was going to be remembered
Yeah, but now they're going to try to sell him as a hero.
because he beat COVID.
Well, no, because he stepped down for the betterment of the country.
It's amazing that someone who's been jabbed as much as him gets COVID like every 12 minutes.
Also true.
I mean, he's had COVID a lot. And he's like the most jabbed human being ever.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
So one of the things that I'm really interested in is so RFK had some camera people at like
Which, hey, by the way, he's got Secret Service now.
he does.
That was nice
Good.
of him.
Good.
He's got Secret Service.
Man, like
He
why
officially announced too, right? Like he's running as an independent.
he has been.
Yeah.
Oh, and I did see that the FBI did announce that Trump was shot in the ear. They're probably the same crew that announced that Alec Baldwin had to have pulled the trigger on that gun for it to go off.
Yeah.
After they researched it when he shot that chick, but then got off on it, got no charges.
And that's how those things work.
Yeah, it was weird that the FBI had to decipher that he did pull the trigger to make that gun go off.
Yeah.
But yeah, Trump, they did decipher he got shot in the ear.
Yeah. I mean, because we're all gonna, like you guys were talking, like anyone who said that was staged has watched a few too many Jason Bourne movies and thinks that that's real life. Like if you've ever actually shot a gun and you could be 20 feet from your target with a handgun, and are you telling me you're willing to have someone take that shot? You could be 10 feet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you've ever shot a gun and you know the power of a gun and you know the dangerous, like
And if you don't know what MOA is, look it up and you'll find out that there's a large variance in MOA.
yeah, you guys talked about that last
Yeah,
week.
and as your distance gets longer, your MOA gets a little bit greater as it goes.
But be 10 feet or 15 feet or 20 feet from a target and pull and like have it even with like a handgun really close, right? 10, 20 feet, like not far. And just if you pull instead of squeeze, you tilt. like you'll be off in just that little range. And this is from 150 yards with some kid who wasn't good enough to be on his rifle. Like this is the stage. And then we're going to kill somebody and critically injure 2 other people for a stage. Like you have watched, have no basis in reality. You've never touched a gun. And you should probably quit watching Jason Bourne movies.
Well, and here's the kind of to add to last week, our talk about Trump was, but don't you think it's weird that Trump still hasn't said much about it? Do you think he knows what went on and he's just using that as leverage?
That was one of the most powerful things.
Because Trump will call a spade, right? He'll talk shit when he needs to, but he has said nothing but thank you to the heroic Secret Service agents who protected him.
Well,
on stage.
They covered him.
They on the ones on stage, but
Yep.
how has he not said anything?
So there's a couple powerful things that Trump did in this. He stood back up, not knowing that if there was another shooter or not, and there is alleging that there was another shooter on the water tower. Like there is some camera things that there may have been.
I mean, it's dicey, but
It is, but he did not know at that point in time. He does not know.
Yeah, he has
right?
no idea, yeah.
he has no idea. He stands back up, puts his fist up, says fight. Another thing is that the people there that didn't run, and you guys talked about this, but you have to have so much belief in your leader to not panic when he doesn't panic. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that, there's a belief system. There's a deep belief in you not to run when there are shots fired, because I can't imagine that shots fired. I mean, you see shots fired on videos all the time, and people scatter. No one moved. I mean, they ducked, but no one ran. And for him not to use this to further divide our country, right? He could have, and he would have been, in my opinion, justified in doing so. He did not do that. He did not bus roll anybody. He has not done anything. I think he felt like I think he really felt like God was was on his shoulder and helped him, and that he needs to do something with it. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Now to get down the rabbit hole of it. Now, have you seen that where ideally Trump would have been dead if all plan would have gone, and then we had that computer outage, which people have talked about would be if you're going to run like a socialist or a communist setup, you basically have a massive outage where no one can communicate and you shut down the internet. And that was almost like, well, Trump didn't die, so we got to like kind of slow the wheels on this train down. So we had that outage, which fucked up Delta, and
Yep.
there was even some banks that had issues.
UPS has been all screwed up all week.
Yeah. Like you know what I mean? But then now also some people think that the outage was a good time to wipe a lot of the things out that might have led to might have exposed what was happening during the assassination plot. Now I said that's down the rabbit hole a little ways, but
it's not that far now.
it was very convenient that the internet had a massive outage.
That takes out Microsoft.
Yes, a massive outage for was it a internet security company?
Yep.
Ran a new. I went to school for computers. I know plenty of people work on computers. Those are test ran before they launch
You think
at large scale.
You think they're gonna put an update or do whatever in, and they didn't put it on a test server first?
Yes, I've been around long enough that. I mean, if you really want to get control of people, I mean, you control the media, which they've already done. You wipe out who the positive future leader could be, and then you basically get rid of all communication statuses.
Yes, I mean it is a game plan. The problem is that and this is becoming
You look like
like
you're thinking about it, Matt.
I was trying to remember. I was reading some stuff on the Crowd?
Yeah, that's the crowd. So that was the company.
Yeah, Crowd something.
CrowdStrike.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's right.
And I was trying to remember. There was a former Microsoft guy who was talking about it, and like he didn't seem too surprised that it happened.
But Microsoft is also.
Right, but this guy he left Microsoft. I don't know, early 2000s.
But it is just
Right.
sometimes there's too many
It's
coincidences in a row.
Well, and the thing is that we're in a place in society right now where you genuinely don't believe anything.
Which is
Which
sad.
is a bad thing.
It's not a good place,
Right.
right? Like the media, you can't believe them because they lie to you, right? Like they lie to you, and it's called out. Like you can think, I have often shit on social media for being like the bane of our existence, and I think it's terrible, but it's the only thing that's keeping them in check right now. Twitter has saved America to a certain extent, because you can't hide anymore. Elon will let it go out, and then I love the add context thing to Twitter. So if someone like Biden makes a post or the White House makes a post, and then people will add context, right? Well, that last bill. So this bill that Trump blocked, this bipartisan border bill. Now, I'm going to let you know, in 2024, if you hear bipartisan, know you're getting fucked by both sides. Okay? Most likely you're getting screwed twice instead of just once. But in this bill that he supposedly blocked, the funding for Ukraine went 9 months into the next term. Okay? And there was language in there that made it appropriate to impeach a president if they didn't keep the funding going for that 9 months. That was out on Twitter. Okay, that's why the bill was blocked. It wasn't blocked because it was a border bill. Now, by the way, it's $20 billion for the border, $60 billion for Ukraine, $14 billion for Israel, $4 billion for some other random department. Like, it wasn't a border bill.
Right.
But they're like, Trump blocked this bipartisan border. Bullshit. That is like, quit saying, like, we're not stupid. And we also have access to information now. So we can find out that we're not stupid and that you keep lying to us.
Yeah.
But I think it's really dangerous not to be able to believe anybody. And I think that's why Trump has more of a following than any president in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have never seen rallies like he has. And I think it's because people believe him. I think they believe what he says. And I'm not saying he's never said anything that's inaccurate or wrong, because he has. But I don't think it's with the intention of deception. I think it might be
Most of Trump's non-truths, I won't even call them lies, or he just likes to over-exaggerate things sometimes.
Yeah.
Actually, I think if you want to see Trump and probably his most natural and what he truly is, watch him and Bryson DeChambeau
Yeah.
That was good.
play golf. And I think that's really what he is.
Yeah.
And he's actually a fucking... Dude, he outshot Bryson on a few holes.
Yeah.
He had a legit birdie, solo birdie on that one hole.
Yeah. So there's a post we're talking about, like the media changing things. So it says, according to the media, Kamala was not the border czar. She was not the most liberal U.S. senator. She did not promote defund the police, which there's all videos of these things.
Yes.
She did not say 18 to 24-year-olds were dumb.
Stupid.
And Donald Trump never got shot. But George Orwell, back in the day, wrote, "This party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was the final, most essential command." And he was a huge believer in democratic socialism.
Yep.
So they're basically saying none of that actually happened. You saw it, but it didn't really happen, is what they're saying with a lot of these things, like with Kamala.
Well, and have you ever like when things come up and it happens to me, they'll be like, "This post has been fact checked," and then have you ever clicked to fact check?
No.
Like, so I'll click to see what. Okay, well, why is it wrong? Oh, like, why did I post something that you say was fact checked? So there was a guy. It was some fitness influencer, and it was like in 2021. He was like, "Mark this down. If I don't die, then I would need you to apologize for saying the vaccine wasn't what was dangerous, right?" And then he dies. So post didn't go very well.
Have you seen that fucking one where it's all these like different fat people talking about having videos about being fat, and the girl goes through, she's like, "She's dead. She's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead."
So I posted.
Not laughing at them dying, but it's just like these people about just being like disgustingly fat, and, like talking about how great it is, and then they're just fucking dead like shortly after that.
So I see this post and it's fact checked, right? And I click on the fact checker. It's like this gentleman, I can't remember his name, did not die from the COVID vaccine. He died from COVID. And I'm like, I feel as if you just said I was right. Like, I feel like your fact check did, like, you just put the little blurb there so people think it's wrong, but click on it and see what they said. And, or like, for your thing, Kamala did not say young people were dumb. Okay. And then it would be fact checked. Okay. And then you click on the fact check. It's like, Kamala said young people are stupid. She did not use the word dumb. Right. Like that's the kind of shit they put out there. They like label it because technically she did not say dumb. She did say stupid though, because I watched the video.
Well, the other thing I saw, and I'm not like a historical scholar, but I enjoy early American history. And the fact that they keep comparing Joe Biden to George Washington because he stepped down or passed the torch to do what's best for the country. If anybody knows anything, George Washington never wanted to be president.
No.
Biden's entire life goal was to be president. That motherfucker has ran for president how many times now?
I have no idea. A lot.
I heard that he woke up this morning and thought about jumping in because he heard somebody dropped out. Yeah. But George
Babylon Beast,
Yeah.
right?
But George Washington didn't want to be president.
No.
He did it because he thought he had to, but he did not want to be president. He wanted to fucking retire to Mount Vernon after the war and just fucking live his life. And he basically was like, all the people of the colonies wanted him to, or the United States at that point, wanted him to be president.
So
It wasn't just supposedly 50% of the people wanted him to be president. Like, it was a very overwhelming amount. But to say that he's like George Washington and stepped down, no, Washington didn't want to be there in the first place. He thought the country was a great, obviously he fought for this country and came up with the idea, but he was not like, yeah. And he's always said that the political parties will be the downfall of the country.
So if you go back in modern history, okay, Trump, George Bush, first George Bush, Reagan,
Are you skipping all the Democrats?
all of those Republicans, right? None of them needed to be president. Okay? They were all rich and successful prior to being president. Okay? If you go back and look at Obama, Clinton, Pelosi, they all became rich because they were politicians. Obama was broke, or I mean, I wouldn't say broke. I think he had a net worth of $1 million, which isn't broke. But
Depending on your social circle.
Yeah, depending on who you're hanging out with, I guess.
I mean, that's not broke, but he's worth hundreds of billions of dollars after president, or hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Pelosi has made $200,000 for 40 years as a House representative, and she's worth $150 million, right? Bill Clinton, Hillary has said that they were broke when they left office. Now they're worth hundreds of, they became rich because of being a politician.
Well, and that's
Biden has become rich by being a politician. Trump has no reason to run for president again.
well, and
Zero.
You look at George Washington. He sacrificed all kinds of things and probably lost a lot of money because he wasn't working basically had a huge tobacco farm.
Yep.
And George Washington was pretty wealthy because he married into some money as well. I think Martha's family had a lot of money and some land, if I remember right. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But I believe Martha's family had Mount Vernon might have been her family's property at one point. I could be wrong, but I think. But he had a huge tobacco farm.
Yeah.
He had a lot of money.
You ever seen Shane Gillis's comedy sketch when he went to?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so funny.
Oh, we talked about the last thing you see is his teeth.
Shane Gillis, he's like, please don't do this character anymore.
But a lot of those early guys sacrificed.
Yeah.
I mean, Lincoln sacrificed his life.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of either George Bush. I don't think they were good presidents at all.
I tell everybody, I'll always give W street cred because he was during 9/11, which was a shitty time for any president, just like Pearl Harbor. So, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'll give him some street cred for that because to manage that whole deal as a president would be something I wouldn't want to do.
Can I just throw?
What if we say no? Is that
No.
gonna happen?
So you got to put a tinfoil hat on.
It's not a tinfoil hat. To me, it's one of the craziest things that I've ever seen. And I remember seeing it, and it came back up on a Rogan thing or something not that long ago. But Alex Jones, and whatever you want to say about Alex Jones, fine. But he talked about planes being flown into the Trade Center and them pointing it at a man named Osama bin Laden in July of 2001. And it's on video. It's on video. Now, that's July of 2001 versus September 11th, 2001.
Well, how about Gerald Ford saying how a woman became president? Did you see that video of him?
No.
He's talking to a
yeah,
class of kids, and
yeah.
the kid said, "Do you ever think there'll be a woman president?" And he said, "Well, I figure it would have to go this way." And he basically lays out exactly what the Democratic Party just did.
Yep.
Which, weirdly enough, I totally thought he was going to be like, "No, a woman's place is in the kitchen." I thought that was totally going to come out of his fucking mouth. Because that was in, is that the early 80s he did that speech? Early 80s?
Yeah.
But he,
70s.
late 70s?
Yeah.
But he laid out exactly what just happened.
It'll be a VP. That's what he said.
Yeah, he's like, she'll be appointed through this. And
Yeah.
so, you know what? Find a good Democrat. You know what I mean? Everybody says this is what we got. It is. But you know what? You know who the Democratic Party ran? No one. At least the Republican Party showed up with like fucking 8 or 10 people?
They did the same thing. I mean, they did the same thing in 2016. Like,
You know what I mean?
there were quite a few good candidates in 2016.
Don't sit there and shit. And now people are like, oh, now Trump's the oldest guy that's whatever, dude. You guys put no one.
Yeah.
And I've said before, if my grandpa was still alive and he had the fucking brains that Trump does, the shit that he does business-wise, I'd let him run my business any fucking day of the week. Yeah. So don't talk shit just because somebody's old.
It is it's a mental acuity, and he's still there.
100% there.
100% there. He talked for 90 minutes at the RNC, and whether you hate him or whatever, he stood up there for 92 minutes.
And the White House review of that was, well, he didn't even talk about Project 2025. It's not his. I don't know how many people need to fucking hear that. Project 2025 was written by the Heritage Foundation. A bunch of fucking super righties wrote that. Trump has, is it Agenda 47?
I don't know.
Is his, like, what his presidential agenda basically he plans to do. Project 2025 is like 1,000 fucking pages. And
he made fun of it.
And everybody's asking, like, why doesn't he talk about it? Why would you talk about it? It's not his.
Well, and then he came out in Michigan and that's another thing. after the RNC, he goes into he's still doing these giant events. Like that takes a set of balls, right? But he gets out there and says it's stupid. Like this is not mine. I think it's dumb. And so I had someone say, "Well, what about Project 2025?" I said, "Well, he just said it was dumb. Are you good now? You going to vote for him?" Because that was your thing,
You know, I don't talk
Yeah.
about other gyms because I don't own them. Why would I talk about what they're doing? It's not mine. Why
Right.
would I talk about it?
right?
Hey, tell me what you think about this or this. I don't fucking know. I will tell you though that Omaha Barbell was the number 3 gym in Omaha behind Genesis and Planet Fitness.
That's impressive.
Fuck
Yeah, I don't know where that fucking stat came from, but they tagged us in it, and I don't know, but yeah, we're right there.
Was that Best of Omaha?
No, it was a different one. I don't know how they do it through, but
Because you changed the meatloaf recipe, probably.
yeah, that was so funny. The fucking review, it's gone now though. Our Google review about our meatloaf.
I mean, this gym. I would say the only reason you would say one of those other gyms would be better is just like they're like commercial. There's more people that go there, but this gym's better than all of them.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I don't know how this gets established, where they get the stats
No.
from for that. I don't know. It could be made up, but we made the made up list.
Yeah.
You can say it's made up all you want to, but I'm on the fucking made up list.
Yeah.
Hey, you know who else was
Number
on there?
one fairy tale creature alive.
You know who else was on there? Dr. Claire Rathjen was on there for best physical therapy in Omaha.
There you go.
But not Mark.
No. I was like, did you let Mark know that you were number 3 and he was not? So yeah, I don't know how they compile this, but I don't. If you pull them out of thin air, we're still in the thin air.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, you know, and kind of continue from last week, just do your research. Like, don't believe, like, I'm not saying you got to believe everything Trump says, but you can probably, I challenge people to find where Trump used any kind of racial terms. You know what they're going to bring up is that one where he said those fucking people from Mexico were coming. Do you remember that? There's some bad hombres. Do you
Yeah.
remember that?
But he was talking about MS-13.
Yeah, they're like killers and whatever. That's the one they'll bring up. But I want to see some actual, you know, like Biden, a racial jungle.
I don't want my kids. They were talking about busing.
Yeah.
They were talking about busing. When that Biden quote is, he said, "I want my kids in a racial jungle."
And then I don't know if he called them super predators or if Hillary said he called them super predators.
Well, and what did he say? Poor kids and white kids.
Yeah. And that's like, that was recently.
that was at least in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. And then it's also been the Democratic Party who mainly said that black people don't know how to use computers. And there's plenty of memes out there of black people making fun of that
Yeah.
and saying that people in urban communities don't have IDs and don't know how to find voting places. And then they went out and asked people, do you have an ID? And they're like, why would I not have an ID?
Some dipshit was like, they need to make owning a gun as hard as voting. I'm like, okay, so we're gonna mail one to everyone.
I'm cool with that.
Like,
And it was also the Democratic Party who just voted down that you have to have proof of American citizenship to be able to vote.
yeah,
They want it to be if you have an address here, you can vote.
yeah, no,
You have to be a citizen. They voted that fucking bill down. That is 100% true, and you can look that up, that the Democrats voted that fucking bill down.
it actually, it passed. It passed the House.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
But it
Yep.
won't pass the Senate because
No.
the Democrats already said that they won't pass it.
yep. And
Is
even
there
if it
anything
did,
else tied to it?
I don't know what else is tied to
I
it.
think it was a pretty simple bill. I shouldn't say,
Surprising.
huh?
I find that's like usually surprising. Usually, like they find something very controversial like that is like a no-brainer to pass. Like the budget every year comes through with all kinds of earmarks for shit.
Well, and I think that should be a thing.
attached to it.
They should have term limits, and it should be like one-page bills.
Right. It should be single.
You know what I
item
mean?
bills.
Like single issue, like one fucking page. And let's write it. Let's write it in fucking English. We don't need a bunch of legal terms. Us American people that are just average Joes want to be able to read this fucking thing.
So, actually, a couple things. One, my lawyer on contracts, what he has started doing is that whenever there's a contract, he'll do the legal thing, and then he'll say, and in plain English, this means.
Yeah.
And I think that's a thing that they could easily do.
I just had one of those. So we got through work, we got this stock option offering for us. And like you get a 29, 30 page document that the first 15 pages are definitions of what's going to be used below and stuff. And so I was talking to one of our tech guys and he's like, just put it in ChatGPT, ask it to translate it. And I was like, all right. I'm like, hey, ChatGPT, can you translate this to a 5th grade level? And it was like, sure thing. And it came back. And some stuff was like a little funky because like
Yeah.
some of the legalese, but it translates it down and it makes it way easier. So I agree with having like
Just and in plain English,
right in
this
layman's
means-
terms, like this is what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they just need to do that.
And the Constitution runs the entire country. We can say it's a single greatest document ever created. We can all agree to that.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing: is you can talk shit about all you want to, but that's what they determined the country would be run off of
Yeah.
200 years ago. So it's like you can't really sit and bitch about it. It's like you can't bitch that like the speed limit's 55 and you got pulled over for going 70. The fucking sign says 55.
No, but I mean, there's ways to, if like something needs to be changed, you can make amendments. Like
Yeah.
that process is there, but it's intentionally made to be excruciatingly hard.
But however many characters are in the Constitution, since it runs the country, every bill should be that less than that, in my opinion. Single issue, super easy. We pass one at a time. I don't need a border bill that has $60 billion going to the Ukraine in it. If I want a border bill, it should be about the border.
I mean, you'll never convince me that the founding fathers were not the smartest people that have probably some of the smartest people have ever walked this country.
Walk
I
this
mean,
earth.
Yeah, what they did and how they planned it out, but they also learned from bad experiences.
Yeah.
So
Well, they were able to make it vague. Like it's intentionally like open. It feels intentionally open to interpretation, right? Because that's why we have the Supreme Court now, right? To interpret, like, hey, I want to challenge this part of it. Is this legal? And they look back and they go, no, that's not the intent, right? The
Yeah.
intent, like the second, like they always the one that I think circulates around that's super easy is they always like, hey, it doesn't say you can have an AR-15, and it's like, well, no shit, because it hadn't been around. It also says
It doesn't say the
protect your-
internet.
Right, it doesn't protect your freedom of speech on Facebook or anything like that because like that wasn't a thing. What it does is it guarantees that the intent is like, yes, you have the right to protect yourself with firearms. You have the right to say what you want in
The government
whatever
will not
platform.
restrict it.
Yeah. And
I'll bet you money though, if you would have burned a flag like those piece of shit people did the other day, they'd have fucking shot you on the street in 1780.
right, like there's consequences.
They'd
right?
have shot you on the fucking street. There's freedom of speech, but
Right, like everything has consequence. Like there's like if I go up to someone and just start belittling their children and berating their wife, like I would expect that human being, that man, should punch me in the face. Like there's a consequence.
just like that one dude who his daughter got molested and he wanted to be alone with the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think if after they get convicted, the family should get like an hour to hang out with that person by themselves. No cameras. Like
I mean, if we had a
no
more-
weapons, right? They can't take any weapons in, but you guys can go in there.
like if we had a more effective legal system that had less potentiality for like oopsies, sure. There's a lot of shenanigans that happen in the legal system,
There are.
Yeah. Sometimes people fall asleep and Epstein dies. You know what I mean? Like
right? I think we're talking about the presidency and like it
slopey roofs. Nobody thinks people should be up there.
shit's slippery.
Yeah.
I didn't get on my slopey roof in the front yard. I was
Yeah.
putting that shit up. It was a metal roof.
Yeah,
I
it's
was like, I'm not going
slopey.
to die today.
It's slopey. Somebody could have gone down.
I mean,
Drones.
where the sniper was at was a little more slopey.
Yeah. Or, drones flying over like 2 hours before.
Yep.
It's
No
all
big-
fine.
No big deal.
But if you look at like the presidency, in my mind, it leads to like the suspicion that for like Congress, this is great because everyone gets hyper focused on the presidency and the election there, and then they can keep doing whatever they want in the background. Like people don't question their representatives.
I saw a stat that like hemorrhoids had a higher approval rating than Congress does.
For everyone else.
Yeah.
Like if you look at statistics, Sowell had it. And, I mean, it's one of Sowell's books. I think it was like the early 2000s. He
He's
wrote
so
this one.
he's so freaking smart.
Dude, that guy. If you want to feel stupid, like read
Dude,
his
that
book
guy
and
is
listen
so
to him
smart.
talk.
Yeah.
But like statistics consistently show every single time an exceedingly low approval rating for Congress and an exceedingly high approval rating for your own representative. So like the general feeling is everyone thinks everyone else should vote out their incumbent and change it, but like my representative's fine.
Yeah, so I had some like text thing with the local representative here, and they're like a polling thing, and I was like, they're like, do you want to vote for him or something? I'm like, no, I'm not voting for the other person, but I think he's terrible. Like, I need him to go away. I think they quit sending me texts.
I got one that
Like-
they text me something. I kept saying no, and then I was like, "Fuck off," and then I got a reply back. It was like, sorry about that. You're supposed to be removed from the list. And I'm like, is there a human over there? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, sorry, man, but really, fuck off with these things. Like sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings,
Well,
human being.
Dude, and for real, like at this point, how many laws do we need fucking passed? What does Congress really need to fucking do?
You shouldn't. Like, it should be monitoring things.
And even like Trump said before, if we would follow the laws we have already, a lot of things would be different.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's not supposed to be easy to add laws and make changes.
Yeah, just vote on these bills. Like, but what do we constantly do this shit for? Like,
One of their main jobs is to pass a budget, and they haven't passed a budget in, I think, since Clinton.
yeah, like I said, they're all butt fucks. Every one of them. I don't fucking.
I mean, they
trust
haven't
half
have a balanced budget since
Balanced
Clinton.
budget, yeah.
Like, that's a budget. Budget in the word is defined to be already be balanced.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've said before, like it's the Washington's all a fucking scam anyway.
Yeah.
So
Right, like the change comes through like your representatives.
kinda.
I mean, that's like you can start at the local level and then work its way up.
Well, actually, you're 100% right, because that's what Soros has done. Soros has infiltrated on local city prosecutors, local city, and then he has found that you're way more bang for your buck. He could put $100,000 in a local election versus $100 million in a presidential election and get way more out of that 100,000.
Well, because you get to the smaller sect, the better. Like prime example, if anybody out there listening, if you live in what's an SID, which I can't remember what that exactly stands for, but it's a neighborhood that's basically privately owned. Your SID will 9 times out of 10, the tax money you pay will stay within the SID. Your roads will be better. Your sidewalks will be better. Your entries, your greenery, your common areas will be way nicer than a part that's publicly owned by even going up to the next level of the city. Now take that on a greater scale, because anybody who lives in Omaha knows that they can't manage the streets where the fuck they can't. They're terrible. And all the money that goes into this fucking the wheel tax and the restaurant tax and the streets are fucking god awful. But you can just see that now. Imagine that going from your SID to the federal level.
Yep.
And it just gets shittier the bigger you go. But yeah, that local area. But yeah, you'll notice if, like I said, if you live in an SID, you'll know if you live in like a small town or small community like Ponca, like we're at, like you'll see that your tax dollars probably get more effectively used in some of those areas.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, like I've said before, the states can exist without the federal government. The federal government needs the states. So yeah, but don't believe everything you read on the internet. Abe Lincoln said that, so remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And try to be a little less shitty every day, and stop just saying stuff because the news told you. Well, the opinions, they're not the news, and I think that actually should be a thing that should be changed. Like that should be a regulation on shows. You have to put like a little crawler up in the corner has to be. These are all opinion pieces. None of this is fact.
So one of the biggest problems, this was done under the Reagan administration, is that at one point in time, if you own like a newspaper in an area, you couldn't own the radio station, and you could only own so many different news outlets per region. It had to be spread out, and Reagan deregulated that. I'm not sure he saw this happening, but basically now we have 3 companies who run all the news.
And if you guys haven't ever seen that clip out there of all
Where
the
they
news
play the same
stations,
thing over.
they're all saying the exact same thing, and it's across the country.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So wild.
It's actually really creepy.
It's
Yeah.
super sad. And it's gotten to the point now, like I said, if I don't see it visually myself or I'm there, like if the Trump shooting wouldn't have been on national TV, could you imagine how that would have gotten spun?
Well, I mean, they're already trying to say it wasn't a shooting.
Yeah.
That Joy Reid said he cut himself with a piece of glass.
Watching too much.
But yeah, what the
WWE,
FBI say
huh?
at first? The FBI director said it might have been a piece of shrapnel. From what?
A bullet.
Yeah. By
then-
shrapnel, you mean the actual projectile that came off of the fucking
And then
round.
Newsweek said he wasn't actually shot because he only got hit with part of the bullet.
There's only one part.
But that's what they said.
The part that's in the air is the only one part that matters. The part that's still in the gun doesn't matter anymore.
Well, no, because it wasn't a direct hit. It grazed him, so it wasn't an actual shot.
Whoever wrote that should let me shoot them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
Let me
part of
graze you with,
with
50.
part of a bullet.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that's what would have happened if that's the only reason right now that I do think social media is important, to hold them accountable for their bullshit.
Or independent media, like we talk like Shapiro.
Oh god, I fucking can't stand that
I don't
guy's
like his
voice.
voice, but he's like his
And I don't
fact
like him.
knowledge. Like I'm like
Okay, we'll
fine.
flip it. Sorry, Tucker.
I love Tucker.
Yeah, anyway,
Fine.
right, pick someone, right? But like independent people who are on YouTube and even like TikTok and Instagram, like those, that's eventually going to be.
Even what's his name? Who's the super Democratic guy that's kind of like they all moved and I stayed in the same place?
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher. Even Bill Maher will call some
Well,
of that
even
shit
Bill
out.
Maher like is being like pushed out from the left. They're like, hold on a second, you're not totally going with it, and so like he gets shit from the left because he's not.
Yeah, because he's
far
like,
enough.
I stayed in the same place and they kept moving.
Yeah. But like but independents, like those are going to be the real, actual fact information.
You can't tell me though, that, if you listen to Shapiro for more than a minute, that you don't like.
Oh,
wanna
it bothers the
punch
fuck
people
out
in
of
the
me.
face.
It's
Right.
very nasally.
God.
Yeah, like I don't.
His voice, like there was a guy who used to work for us, and he would have him like on his phone listening, like while he was stocking stuff, and be like, "Turn him off."
some earbuds in, bud.
Like I can't hear him.
Yeah.
Like if I'm seeing him on a video, I can tolerate him for like a little bit longer. You know, like a little bit. But if I'm just hearing his voice like on the side, oh my god, like it like actually angers me.
But like that's where real, and the piece to that is like there's still this like immediate, there's this push to get stuff out as fast as you can
Yep.
and stuff, and so I get
Better
that.
to be fast and right.
Right. So like let's get
For
it
them.
out there, cool. And if you want to do that and something changes, you should be allowed to go back on that. Like, hey, when we reported on it, this is the information you have. Like you can go back to like look at when COVID first happened. The very first information that came out was like, okay, we don't know what's going on. We see this thing. It looks like this. In general, we should respond like this to it. But the downfall was, well, there are a lot of them, but as more information came out and the facts changed because not that the facts that you had in hand changed, but now you have more of them, so you have more context to understand. You should be able to go back on that and be like, hey, listen, nope, this is not right anymore. We need to change course and we need to do this. And then, but because you don't do that, then we end up where we were. No one was able or willing to go back.
If you want to be pissed off at the world, read The Real Anthony Fauci by
Dude,
RFK.
it was wild. Like even if half that stuff's true, it's still fucking wild.
Well, and
And anyone who says it's not true, he'd have been sued. There's enough truth in that book that they don't want it out in court. I'll tell you that fucking
Yeah.
much right now.
well, and I've even thought before, like we talked about where it should be, where I was saying they should have whether it's opinion or news. But I think because there's all these like supposed regulations, and maybe bring back a little bit of the regulation on the broadcasting stuff. Like if you're wrong, you have so many days, like you were saying, Matt, but you'll have so many days, or you're fined a dollar amount per day
But
until
who
you
does the
correct
fact check
your.
on it though? Like who's going to fact check to say that you're wrong or right?
Well, but I think, do you think people will just not say asinine stuff
Well,
and actually wait? You know what I mean?
But
So-
who's going to fine them?
So here's actually what has happened, though, is that CNN's like ratings are like in the toilet.
Did you see
like,
Netflix lost 6 million subscribers yesterday?
Yeah,
For what?
Their fucking dude donated $7 million to Kamala
yeah,
and lost 6 million subscribers at, what is it, basically $20 a month?
yeah. That's the only way that you can fight back is with your pocketbook. And once again, people are like, well, it's so much bigger than me. Like the environment. The environment's so much bigger than me. We need the government. Well, you know what? Don't litter. Throw your shit in a fucking trash can. Like you can do things on your own. And if enough people do things on their own, if enough people
Right.
cancel their $20 subscription, or enough people say, you know, Anheuser-Busch, I think you were really fucking dumb with this, their stock's still down. And regardless of whether you think they're a good company or not, they paid a price, and the only way you can pay it is with your checkbook. It's the only way you can do it.
Did you remember when CNN launched their online thing and it lasted like a month and it failed so bad they just stopped?
And then who's a lady out of Arizona?
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about the short hair. She got really short hair.
Fuck, can't remember her name, but the CNN reporter was asking her something. She goes, "Well, let's do an interview on the CNN Go or whatever." Oh, that's not around anymore, and it just walks off. No, I almost said someone that was wrong.
Carrie something, isn't it?
Carrie Lake.
Carrie Lake, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. Just figure this shit out on your own. Figure out a good, reliable source and contrast and compare. Watch both stations if you need to.
Actually, what you have said before in the past is the same thing that, like, what overlaps?
Yep. There's
Right.
a common denominator between everybody.
Like, what overlaps? And you can listen to a lot of information and then disseminate what's in the middle. Like what's overlapping. Okay, they're saying this and they're saying this. What do they both kind of say that's in the middle? Let's go with that.
It's like, all that we really know is that Russia and Ukraine are at war. Do we really know who's winning? Nope, because one side says one side says the other. All we really know is they're at war.
And then you see these videos of Ukraine nightlife, and they seem to be having a pretty good time. So, like, have you seen those?
Well, dude, here's my thing. And we've said this before. No world power is going to take out the other world power because it doesn't do them any good because they all rely on each other.
We're not going to take them out completely.
But no, what I was saying is like, there's plenty of fucking videos and pictures of Putin just horseback fucking shirtless riding around. They could have killed him. Biden, he didn't even know where he was at. Could have killed him.
Yeah.
The only one you got to worry about those loose cannons, like fucking North Korea when we had the Cuban Missile Crisis. You got to worry about those loose cannons, which I was going to. Why wouldn't you just blow up the Capitol if you wanted to stop it? You know what I mean? You know where Zelensky's probably at.
Yep.
Like you said, the nightlife. Why don't you just kill all those people? It's just a fucking game. You know what I mean? I don't know which way the game is trying to go, but if you really want to cripple a country, start killing more people.
I still think hundreds of thousands of people have needlessly lost their lives for a war that just enriched.
I know,
contract.
but why wouldn't you wipe out the leader when they wiped out Saddam Hussein?
I don't think
once you cut the head off the snake, it does slow them down. Osama bin Laden, what's his name? al-Baghdadi. But no one's killed Zelensky. That motherfucker's just out everywhere.
Yep.
Putin, if you really wanted to end this, why don't you just destroy the leader? It's just a giant fucking dick measuring contest that everybody's playing.
Yeah, well, they both have small dicks because they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Remember when Trump was running, Ukraine did that bombing? Trump fired a couple of fucking warning shots past him. They're like, never mind.
Yeah. Well, he told Putin, if you just remember that we had less war under Trump than any other president. He's the only president in the last 30 years that hasn't started one. And also the only president in 30 years that Russia didn't invade a country under. Because he said, I'll blow your gold tops off of Moscow if you do. And he told Xi Jinping, I will end Beijing if you go into Taiwan. Like, and they don't know. They're like, well, this motherfucker might. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying this is all just a fucking...
And I'm not saying that's the best foreign policy.
No.
But what I'm saying is we stopped wars, and we need less wars.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is all just a fucking game.
Yeah.
But anyway, we just want people to be better.
Yeah.
Just be better humans.
Trump 2024.
And just because you don't get along with someone...
You're welcome, Matt.
Just because you don't have the same political views, by the way, you don't have to fucking hate that person.
Yeah. You can, though. I'm sure a lot of people hate me. It's fine.
Yeah. But you don't have to. Like I said, the guy I talked to the other day has different views. He's a great dude. We get along great. I don't have any dislike towards him.
Yeah, I'm still friends with Ron, even though he's a trolly fuck on my Instagram.
Well, he doesn't listen to the podcast. But anyway, so overall, educate yourself. Try to be a little less shitty. Don't believe everything you hear. Do your own research. Don't be fucking lazy. Yeah. And, like, subscribe, share, follow. Stay jacked or get stacked.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite shirts.
Yes. And we'll see you guys next time.